Hi, my name is Dr. Julin Teng. Today I've written an article on my blog in which I discussed an important aspect of the dress shirt, namely the cuffs. There are different types of cuffs, and these types and some other details can express some nuances, and they can have some implications on for which occasions they may be the most appropriate. So in this video, I'm going to go over some of the points that I have mentioned in this article, and so let's start. The dress shirt, of course, is an essential element in a person's wardrobe. In a man's wardrobe, absolutely, but I think increasingly so for professional women as well. Men's apparel traditionally receive very little attention, and the formal classic ones tend to receive even less attention, and less still the dress shirt. People think, okay, that is just a shirt, any shirt would do, and a lot of people are actually mistakenly wearing shirts that are never meant to be worn with a jacket, and consider that the same as dress shirts. There are a lot of differences, and of course the dress shirt, simply because the design is so codified, it's so classic, it's so simple, that a lot of times people tend to overlook the details and the nuances. And to people who pay attention, to people who love sartorial, to people who possess the sartorial knowledge, and people who love to express themselves sartorically, then those nuances can tell a lot about a person's taste and a person's style. So this is basically, I'm saying that this is actually an important aspect, right, for a person. And when it comes to more formal meetings and formal occasions, sometimes because a lot of times those people tend to be more aware of the sartorial tradition, the different styles, so you could leave an important impression. So that's the background, right? And by the same time, the cuffs actually is something that is not as nuanced. It's usually quite straightforward, and a lot of people, when they first start to pay attention to dress shirts, it is perhaps the first thing that they look at. I know I did. I know I started to experiment with different types of cuffs on dress shirts over a decade ago. So I know that perhaps for young people this is where they may start. So this is also why I'm starting. I make this video before I write about this issue before I write about other aspects, more nuanced ones. So what is a double cuff? Double cuff is basically, it's like this single cuff, but prolonged, extended for exactly the same length. So it's double as long, and when worn, they're supposed to be worn folded back. And when folded back, there are basically 4 buttonholes. So instead of like here, this single cuff has only 1 buttonhole. It would have 4 buttonholes, 2 here and 2 up there. And when folded back, these buttonholes on either side of the slit would align, and then there are 2 ways to wear them. To wear the double cuff, usually it is traditionally worn in a kissing fashion. So basically, the 2 sides would basically kiss, right? That's more common, of course, with a cuff link. And there are also more fashion-forward people who prefer to wear it in a barrel style. So they use the cuff link, but They use a cufflink, but they button it as if using a button. Now, that type of style is really fashion forward, probably not for everyone, and certainly not for, I think, not for occasions where this is important. Now, I have rarely seen people wear it like that, but I have seen in a film where there was some, I think it's an American film, depicting some Chinese businessman who were very rich and who had probably bad taste, and they wore the double cuff that way. So you get the implication there. It's not necessarily always the best of styles. Single cuff is usually mistakenly believed to be like the one that I'm having here today, but not necessarily the case. There are also single cuffs with two buttonholes, one on either side of one on each side of the slit, and they are intended to be worn with cufflinks, and that is, in my opinion, the dressiest type of dress shirts. All right, so that is about dress single versus double cuffs. And what are the implications on occasions? Well, for formal dress shirts, and I just looked on Wikipedia. I think in British English, probably it is simply known as dress shirts, but usually for everywhere else, it is the formal dress shirt, the formal shirt. Basically, those are the ones with pleats in the front, and those are the ones that are how to say, they don't have buttons. They're supposed to be worn with what is it called? Well, they don't have buttons. I need to check what is the name of that. That other thing. They need to be worn with that. Usually in onyx, that's formal dress shirts, and they usually come with double cuffs, and usually sometimes they also come with single cuffs, but with a variant that would require cufflink. And the ones that are actually buttoned is very rare for formal dress shirts, and probably should be avoided. And when it comes to everyday occasions, when, for example, on business meetings, it is probably considered, I think, conceived as more conservative and sometimes appropriate to have double cuffs. On the other hand, when you are simply just mixing with people in the real world, that may not necessarily be conceived as being conservative. Sometimes, especially when you interact with people who don't have much knowledge of the differences in men's apparel, in the sartorial history and tradition, the styles, they may think that this is a more fashion-forward way of wearing shirts. Maybe they think this is a more fashionable variant of the traditional shirt. So you need to consider the occasion, with whom you may be mingling, in making the decision on whether to wear double or single cuffs. Then there is also the single cuff with cufflinks. That, in my opinion, is the dressiest, as I have just mentioned. That one is, I believe, not necessarily the best of ideas to wear on business meetings, unless you are the boss, or if you are like an artist, you are an architect, you are a musician, you are a designer, right? So that type of person could pull it off. But for if you are simply an employee, it's probably best not to do it, because it will draw some unwanted attention to it, and if your boss doesn't like you as a result, that's not a good idea. So all right, so these are this is basically what I wrote in this article, and there I have some other details in it, so I encourage you to, if interested, to look at the article in the description that I put in the description. And I have also other articles and other videos discussing various issues that could be of interest to you, including fashion and lifestyle, but also technology, and more importantly, the economy. And so thank you very much for watching this video. Have a great day.